Welcome, everybody. Brand new hour of America's Newsroom starts now. I'm Martha McCown.
And I'm Bill Hemmer. Good morning. And now a Texas Democrat is warning the decision to stay away from the border could become President Obama's Katrina moment. As Governor Rick Perry agrees to a meeting later today with the president, they'll talk about immigration and the border crisis. But that meeting is in Dallas. That's hundreds of miles from the border, where thousands of children are crossing illegally. A bit earlier last hour, Oklahoma Congressman Jim Bridenstine told us why he believes this crisis is a direct result of the administration's failure to first secure the border.
You can't tell me the border is secure when 10-year-olds are streaming across it. But some of the stories are of abuse and human trafficking. The stories of these kids coming here is tragic. And interestingly, it's a direct result of having an open border on the south side of our country. And it's a direct result of the president advertising to the world that he'd like to give you citizenship if you're in our country illegally.
Jonah Goldberg is editor-at-large for the National Review Online and a Fox News contributor. Jonah, welcome. Good to have you here.
Good morning, Martha.
A lot of comparisons to whether or not this is President Obama's Hurricane Katrina. And everyone remembers President Bush, the pictures of him flying over Katrina in those initial days and looking out the window. That wasn't good for him in terms of optics, as we often say. What do you think about that comparison?
Well, I understand that the White House is afraid of the optics of having him down at the border. I really just don't like this Katrina analogy for lots of reasons. First of all, it gives short shrift to what George Bush actually really did that the media didn't give enough coverage to. But more importantly, unless you're Spike Lee or some tinfoil-hatted, psychopath who writes in the comment sections on YouTube in all caps, no one thinks that George Bush created that hurricane. That was a man-made disaster that was a natural disaster that came out of nowhere. This is a disaster that is entirely man-made, that has been building and developing for a very long time, that the White House, like ISIS taking over Iraq, the White House tells reporters, hey, we had our eye on this, this really came up on and took us by surprise. Yeah. Well, it took them by surprise because they don't know how to do their job. And to compare this to Katrina makes it sound as if they're not culpable in this. And I think it's I understand the political point, people saying Obama doesn't want to have this photo op at the border that sort of presidentializes this crisis. Yeah. I get that. But, to me, it's more like the BP spill. This was something, again, Obama didn't cause that, but his inaction became a huge problem.
Yeah, and this, notion of sort of being caught off guard by things is becoming a sort of familiar mantra from the White House, which a lot of people find very troubling. But in terms of optics, I think we have the picture that was sent out last night is one of the president playing pool and, yucking it up in a pool hall in Denver while he's there. How does this play out?
I think, this is very strange. I think this is a sign that the bubble around the White House is much thicker than people think. And Obama has always liked to cultivate this idea of the no drama Obama. And maybe they think this shows him as an everybody guy, as an everyman kind of thing.
Yeah, but it just when you look at these pictures and you think about the fact that the White House wants to avoid the picture at the border, and this is the picture that we've got, and no doubt there's going to be more pictures from the fundraisers when they happen tonight. Why wouldn't they cancel some of these appearances? I mean, I get not wanting to go to the actual border, and there's reasons to think that wouldn't really be the most effective use of his time. But this optics, you're right. It just looks like the bubble is extremely thick.
I agree. It's bizarre. And, the White House has been telling reporters that they don't do theatrics, that's not their thing, which is absolutely bizarre when you consider that this is the guy with the Greek pillars and the campaigning in Berlin. I mean, so much of his presidency is about theatrics. The problem is that they just can't get the theatrics right now.
But, the other side of this, Jonah, is that you're supposed to believe that there's compassion, that the president's compassion for the people at the border is the reason that they're having a difficult time figuring out what to do here, because they don't want to just put these kids back on buses and send them back home because they're worried about their situation back there. I mean, none of these images are presenting that feeling on the part of the president.
No, it's in terms of PR, it's a catastrophe, and maybe not a catastrophe, but it's incredibly incompetent and weird. I mean, that's the fundamental thing. It's just weird, and these guys have not been able to get control of any story for months now. Basically, the only way they get off of one scandal is when it gets replaced by another scandal. They got off of IRS because of VA. They got off of VA because of Bo Bergdahl. They got off of Bo Bergdahl because Iraq was retaken by insurgents that they were supposed to be keeping an eye on. That got out of the news because of the crisis at the border. This is not a team that is in control of events. They're just playing catch up, and they're doing it really badly.
Well, they say they weren't concerned about the optics, and that's apparently the case based on what we're seeing. Jonah, thank you very much. We'll see you next time.